we can in silence, remembering the events that took place over 20 years ago now. Those referring to September 11th. So if you will, before we sing the national anthem, just take a moment of silence. Thank you. Dr. Lester?
We're ready, sir. Sing with me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Walter Hill has our invocation today.
Dear Lord, we just pray today. First of all, we thank you for this day and everyone here and their family and their business represented, Lord. Thank you for Dothan Rotary and what it means to this Wiregrass community. We pause and pray especially for patriotism and unity in our country, like we had back after the tragedy of 9/11. And bless this food and those that have prepared. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen. All right, Alan Richards is going to come forward for Family of Rotary.
Thank you, President Josh. Today, celebrating birthdays for this week: Greg Gregory, September 13th; Sheila Azar, September 15th; Mary Beth Meadows, September 16th. Anniversaries this week: Tanner and Amelia Shelley, Bob Pito and Julie, and then Miley and Ramona. That was on 17th. Thank y'all. Have a great week.
All right, stand sessions. Please come forward to introduce our guests and visiting Rotarians.
We're happy to welcome our guests and we're visiting Rotarians today. When I call your name, would you please stand and remain standing until all visitors are recognized. Got Lee Jacobs, guest is Stephanie Walker, Patrick Mallory, guest is Dennis Cove, and then we have a visiting Rotarian, Adam Williams from the Outlaw Club. Welcome.
Y'all for being here. Mark Kristen, please come forward for Camp Master Drawing. $2,140 points. All right, if you have a red ticket, you can go ahead and throw it away. Last score, 5701. 5701. Does anybody else think Jason Rudd wins it like 50% of the time? Thank you, players. Thank you, Mark. We have quite a few announcements today. Real quick, you probably saw when we walked in about 3 weeks ago, probably 4 weeks ago, one of our boxes, our name tag boxes, just completely fell apart. So I want to say thanks to Jenny Logan for arranging for us to get a new box. The numbering system is a little different, so it'll take a few weeks to get used to that. Thank you, Jenny. Dean Mitchell has an announcement he'd like to make.
Thank you, Josh. If you're interested in the power of DNA and the impact that DNA is having in both human health and plant health, I hope you'll join us in Alpha Wiregrass at one of our upcoming seminars, where we'll be informing the public about the work that we're doing, especially around Genomics 101 and understanding pharmacogenomics. All the details are here. It's a free event. I encourage you to attend. Thank you.
Thanks, Dean. Looking forward to that Georgia Auburn game coming up in a couple weeks. I don't know if you could call it a game, but Bruce McNeil has an announcement.
Since 1985, Rotary has been very active in the eradication of polio. In fact, since Rotary has gotten involved, the wild polio virus is down by 99.9%. There's 3 billion children that's been immunized throughout the world. The number of countries that have endemic polio has gone from 125 countries to 2 countries. And World Polio, Bob, is October the 24th. This district was involved in a district project. This club was heavily involved in, and many of the members here supported that project in the Tuskegee Polio Recognition Project in Tuskegee, where we installed a monument. I hope you've seen that in the past, recognizing the work that was done on campus in Tuskegee, treating the Black population for the polio, and a lot of things that went along with that. From that event, Rotary International's come down and they, in fact, took pictures. They put our project in the Rotary International magazine. It was highlighted on the Rotary website, and they came down again just a few weeks ago. I took a ton of videos, and this project will be featured during World Polio Day, which is October 24th. So we got a lot of mileage out of that. Thank you to the members of this club and this district for supporting that. Well, that was project phase number 1. Phase number 2 is under progress, and it's the Tuskegee Helocell Recognition Project. The other project was recognizing the hard work that was done on campus for the treatment and rehab of individuals. This project is the work for the Helocell. If you don't know what the Helocell is, you need to look it up. Way too much time needs to be to explain it. But we're recognizing the Helocell and all the work that was done on the campus of Tuskegee University or Institute at the time. But they played an important role in Dr. Salk finding the cure or the vaccination for polio. So we recognize them with double-sided monument. I've got flyers on the table that, if you want to continue supporting that project, just give me a call. We'll certainly give you more information on that. But we want to recognize what happened in Alabama, what happened in District 6880, and what happened on the campus of Tuskegee in the fight against polio. So if you need more information, please let me know.
Thank you, Bruce. Before you have a seat, Bruce, he's very humble, and he gave a lot of credit to our district, but let's give Bruce a round of applause. He spearheaded these. Kelly Pilot has an announcement.
All right, just remember, just want to, give you a few dates to put down, for our White Elephant Sale. Just remember, the sale is the 23rd of October. We do not meet on the 9th, so the 16th of October, which is the Monday before our sale, will be the last date, or we ask you to please, if at all possible, have your, auction items in on that Monday. You can bring them anytime between now and then. We're gonna be doing like we've always done, and, they'll have some room in the back with a sign-in sheet and all of that. Please make sure that I'm gonna have some cards that we'll put out here for you to just fill out your name, your item and the value. If you will, make sure that card is attached. That's the way that we kind of determine the auction item and possibly where to start the bidding at. So please make sure we have that information on your item. And again, we will meet October 2nd, will not meet the 9th for Columbus Day, but then October 16th is the day that we do ask you to have all of those in. So if you have any questions, please let us know. Thank you.
Thanks, Kelly. All right, about 6 months before I took over as president of the club, I had a couple of people start to come and tell me that there are going to be some decisions that you have to make over the next year that are going to be a little difficult. So one of those today I want to make everybody aware of. When I first started looking at the budget for this year with Robert Ferguson, I saw negative $12,000 on the bottom, and so we had to shift some things around and make some cuts. So wanted to kind of go through a few of those with you, let you know what's going on, let you know what's being discussed in our board meetings. Our income, the income we're bringing in each year has declined a little bit due to membership being down. So that's a challenge to all of us to try to attract some new members. And then also expenses increase. We all are experiencing inflation over the last year or two. Bill costs have increased. Rotary International dues have increased. So that left a delta of $12,000, as I mentioned. So there are a couple ways we've had to cut expenses. So I just wanted to be transparent and make everybody aware. Last year we had the Rotary Ball, and that was a great project. Because of the Rotary Ball, we now have met our commitment to the city of Dothan for the cost incurred for the Miracle Field. So we plan to continue the Rotary Ball, so that way we can start building up those funds, so that way the next time expenses are needed out there, we have a pool of funds to pull from. So instead, we'll continue with the Rotary Ball. Last year we didn't have the spring picnic because the time of the Rotary Ball was so close. We're going to continue with that again this year. There won't be a spring picnic due to the cost. And like I said, Rotary Ball pays for itself and then some. So we're going to continue doing that. We feel like there's opportunity to do a better job of stirring up some sponsorships for the senior citizens luncheon. We still have a line item in our budget for that. We decreased a little bit, but we'll ask for your support here in the next couple months for the senior citizens luncheon. And the big one I wanted to talk about today was the dictionary project. You might have noticed last year we didn't have the dictionary project. There's been some discussion in board meetings on, one, the cost of it, but also two, do the kids really use dictionaries still? We have decided as a board we would like to continue the dictionary project because of its long-standing tradition in our club. However, there is no line item in our budget this year for that. So I wanted to let everybody know. We're estimating it to be somewhere in the ballpark of $3,000. So starting next week and the following week, we'll pass the hat, and hopefully our club can put together enough funds to have the dictionary project this year and hand dictionaries to third graders in the city of Dothan schools. So if you have any questions or any comments, any feedback on that, I'm happy to discuss with you. At this time, I'll ask Stephanie Walker to come forward and introduce our guest speaker.
Okay, Dr. Coe was supposed to be here with us today, but he had a family emergency, so I'm introducing our guest speaker. Coach Jeff Kennedy's career includes an impressive 123 over 51 overall record and 27 to 11 playoff record, and in his 16 years as head coach in Wisconsin, Illinois, and Florida. Under his leadership as the head coach, his teams have been the 2011 Wisconsin Division I State Championship, 2017 and 2018 Wisconsin Division II state runner-ups. They have seen 4 state semifinal appearances and 8 state quarterfinal appearances. Kennedy was named in 2011 as the Associated Press and Green Bay Packer State Coach of the Year and has been named 6 times as a Conference Coach of the Year. Please join me in welcoming Jake.
Thank you, and anytime I get a chance to talk about our school district, Dothan City Schools and Dothan football, it's a pleasure. There's just so many great things going on. I'm just gonna take the first little bit and, first of all, thank the administration, the upper administration. 3 of those members are here. We had the principal of the year at our high school and Dr. Bland. If you saw the news last week, we had a kid at our high school just score a perfect score on his ACT. If you drive around the back of the school, DTC going on with all the things there, just kind of tell you how things fit. On Thursday, we had an issue with our signs. And I'll kind of talk about the football part a little bit where we hold up, like if you see on college when they hold up like the number 12, basically what that means is there's 1 running back and 2 tight ends in it. We had an issue with our signs. Rather than having to go to get them made, we call DTC and we have students make those projects. We had a drainage vent that needed to be fixed on our practice field. Just over time with water running down, we went back, the welding department at the DTC fixed that. So there's just so many great things going on. And I know a lot of times athletics is the forefront and good and bad, everybody gets to see those things, but we're really just a small part of all the awesome things going on inside the school district, and those things don't happen if we don't have great leadership. So again, I know 4 of those people are here, Dr. Cole couldn't, but just want to say thank you to them. I was here about 365 days ago. When I got named the head coach, it would have been the Christmas before, so we're going into our 2nd season. And just humbled to be standing here. When I took this job, everybody told me, Coach, if we can build a ready winner here, the people in Dothan will get behind it. Man, the crowd we've had, it's been just awesome. So I'm going to take briefly, just talk about last year, kind of recap. We finished 8-4, ranked 7th in the state. We won the first playoff game in 25 years between the 2 city programs. So we went as the number 4 seed, traveled 3 hours down to Foley, and pulled off a massive upset in round 1. So just a huge tribute to the kids. We led all 7A in rushing last year. We had two players rushed over 1,000 yards, and a player by the name of Raymond Blackman broke the school record. And Coach White, who's been around for a long time, said he goes, I think, Coach, is probably the record for the old high schools. He rushed for 1,700 yards and 27 touchdowns. And if you saw Raymond, he probably weighs about 150 pounds and about 5'6", but one of the toughest individuals that I've been around. So just an awesome year. And as I told the kids, sometimes the first year is actually a little bit easier than the second year. People don't always think that, but we had seniors that kind of had 2 rough years. And when they know it's their last crack at high school football, they will do anything you ask them to do. We would tell those kids, hey, if you go run through that wall, we're going to have a chance to win more football games. They would do that. Well, when you go into year 2, if you take our sophomores, they weren't a part of the 2 and 8s. All they saw was the 8 and 4 and a lot of the things we did as a program. So you always worry about losing that hunger. But before we move on to this year, I just want to mention some kids from Dothan that played at the new Dothan High School that are playing in college as you see the games. Jabri Barbers at Troy, he's one of the best football players. Bauer Sharp at Southeast Louisiana. Raymond Blackman, the individual I just talked about, is at Southeast Mississippi. Adam Watford from last year, our starting punter, is the starting punter at North Alabama. Cassius Brady's at Miles College. Obo Jackson's at Troy. Octavius Thomas is at a prep school down in Mobile. And we currently have 4 players on our roster that have Division I scholarships for next year. So it's awesome to recognize those people that have used football as an avenue to help get school paid for and really which can change the path of their life. just want to talk about some great things that are happening in our program. Probably the one visual thing, when you drive by Dothan High, you see the building out there, it's pink on the outside, no, it will not be pink long-term, but there is a huge multi-million-dollar facility being built on campus. When I met with Dr. Cole and Coach Noble and Dr. Cole kept talking about the long look of things, and I'm one of those people where I don't want our kids to have better than everybody else, but I want them to have what everybody else has. And really, that facility that's being built on campus does that. It's got a soccer locker room, a baseball locker room, football locker room, coaches' offices, conference rooms, team meeting room, new weight room, storage facilities, turf practice field. This will blow a lot of people's minds. 7A football, we will play 0 games on grass this year. Every game is played on turf. And the ability to be able to practice on turf and then go play on turf is just huge for us. And again, that's what you can see, but also that included a new band field, included the track to be resurfaced. There's money put in there so we can add field events for track. And again, that was just the small athletic part of that. So again, those things were all done before I started here, but you know, it is great as the scope of high school sports changed to have facilities that attract other people. We had 3 players. You know, what's crazy is everybody hears about NIL and things in college football. The transfer stuff is crazy in high school too. And we had 0 players leaving and picked up 3 players who came in and played for us. And again, that's a tribute to a lot of people. So the new facility is huge for us. Probably the thing I'm most proud of is the nutrition program that we put in place for our players. When I took this job, I made the commitment that we were going to find a way to feed our players after every time we have a football event. And as you know, you can't physically buy every one of those meals. There's a lot of donations that have happened. Some we have to pay for. We weigh our kids every day. We track their weight. Some kids were trying to help lose weight. Some kids were trying to gain weight. We had a kid last weekend, a starting defensive lineman. Okay, we played on Friday. We fed him. He came back on Sunday for practice and lost 6 pounds from after the game on Friday until on Sunday. Well, it's pretty obvious to see that kid hadn't eaten. So now we have a point and a plan to make sure that kids eat. I'm a believer that it doesn't matter where you're at. No kid should ever go home hungry. No kid should ever not eat. And if we're going to work kids as hard as we're going to work them, they need to have a full tummy when they go home. And I'm very proud of that. Not every school has the ability to do that. And with the work of a lot of people, we've been able to do that here. Another huge thing that has happened, again, just kind of tell you some things we've done before I talk about this season, is the one thing that I know that our program needed was consistency. And it is hard to build a program when you have 12 or 13 varsity coaches and 8 or 9 of them are turning over every year. We have one different coach on our staff this year than last year. We had a young coach that got a defensive coordinator position, which was a promotion for him. He should have taken it. We were able to hire in a former head coach. We have 7 former head coaches on our staff right now, 4 coaches who had coached in college. So I can stand up here and firmly say that I will put our staff against anybody in 7A. Program size, we currently have 140 players in our program, grades 9 through 12. When we took over the job, there was 106. So that means we've added 34 players. Football is really hard right now. It's as you know, with society, I don't want to say society is getting soft, but I'll say society is getting soft. There's a lot of other things to do. I think it's been 95 degrees for about 9 months. Okay, we're waiting for the weather to break. You know, if you wait right now to put on football pads, even the new lighter weight technology weighs about 19 pounds. We practiced this morning for about an hour and a half, and we'll go back again after school. And the fact that we have continued to be able to increase our numbers, it's just been phenomenal. And I'm a believer that, you know, to me, the number one subject that we taught in high schools is the sport of football. Nothing will give you more adversity. Nothing will be tougher. There's going to be a lot more days that are harder than easier. And I'm just fortunate that I know that those 140 people will be better people for being involved in our program. Last thing I'm going to talk about before I talk about the season is when I took the job, and, you know, everyone, you know, coach, how are you going to turn it around? How are you going to turn it around? I really had 4 things that I talked about. You know, I talked about we're going to be tough. I talked about how we're going to have discipline. I talked about how we're going to work really hard. And the last thing was, I said, we're going to have great attendance. You can have all the great plans in the world. If your kids aren't there, it doesn't matter. And these 2 numbers I'm going to tell you will blow your minds. And I'm old school. to me, when we talk about attendance, you're either there or you're not there. I don't do excused absence or unexcused absence. You're either physically there or you're not there. And about 5 years ago, as a head coach, I kind of had a shift where I used to get so upset with the guys who weren't there, and I kind of changed my philosophy that said we're going to celebrate the heck out of the ones who are there. And the bottom ones will come along. So out of 100, and we have a group in our program, it's called the State Leaders. So if you go all summer and you do not miss a day, you get a T-bone steak at the end of the summer workouts, and you get a T-shirt. And I'm really big on things where I love giving them things where someone says, hey man, how'd you get that shirt? The kid can say I earned it. It wasn't given, it was earned. So this is summer. We come in the morning, we're there for 3.5 hours, 140 players. 106 of them did not miss a day this summer. That means 0 misses. If they had a 1-day camp up in Atlanta, that was a miss. They were not there. We had 25 players that missed 1 day or less. So out of 140 kids, 131 of them missed 1 day or less in the summer. So people ask, Coach, how are we able to get this thing turned around so fast? It's because our kids are there and they're coming. You can have the greatest workout program in America, but if kids aren't there in the weight room, it don't matter. You can have a great nutrition program, if kids aren't taking advantage of it, it's not there. You can give all the character lessons in the world, but if you only have 70% of your team there, it doesn't matter. So I'm just so upset, because to have things like that, you obviously have to have great commitment from families. Someone has to get these kids there. We have to have great commitment from our coaches who help when there's ride issues. We have a big buddy system where older players help younger players there, so I'm just certainly really proud of that. Just going to talk briefly about this year. If you look at the paper, we had about a heart-wrenching of loss as I've ever been a part of on Friday night. Number 5 in the state, Auburn was in town. We lost 27-28 in double overtime. We had a chance at a field goal at the end of regulation to win it. I went for 2. And, someone said, hey, Coach, if you knew we wouldn't have got it, if you knew you wouldn't have got it, would you done it again? I said, well, if I'd known we wouldn't have got it, we probably would have done something else. But, I asked our kids, I said, do you want to win the game? If someone would have told us before the game, we'd have 2 opportunities to beat Auburn, which is one of the true blue blood programs in the state in one play. We'll do that. And what made me so proud was on the field, when you have 90% of your team in tears, because they've worked so hard for something, to have it right there, it means that we're there. I took this job, I told Dr. Cole, I said, we'll have a team that people are really proud of. They love how we play. We play a hard physical brand of football. We're currently ranked number 6 in the state. We play in the toughest region by far. I don't care what anybody says. To start the season, there was 6 out of the 10 teams in the state were out of our region ranked in the top 10. Only 4 of those teams will make the playoffs. There's going to be 2 teams that started top 10 in the state that aren't even going to be playoff teams. And just to put things in perspective, Auburn went on the road and beat Hoover, I think 39-14 game 1 of the year. And that's the team that we took right down to the final seconds of the game. So we don't believe in moral victories. It's not why I took the job. It's not why we work as hard as we do. But I do think that how far these kids have come in a little over 14 months has been unbelievable. We're really young. We only start 6 seniors. We have a very talented class. So we're certainly excited about that. And then really the last thing I want to talk about is I've had 3 people in the last couple of days come out and say, Coach, I went to my first game Friday night when we played Auburn. I won't miss another game. The stadium is unbelievable. The city put $22 million in that facility over there. Everybody who has come and seen it has just absolutely raved about it. The locker rooms, the concession stand, we've had great crowds. It's an unbelievable atmosphere. We had a flyover for military appreciation last week. Those things just aren't happening at other places. Our band is doing an awesome job. We've got tons of cheerleaders. The crowd support is there. And I promise you, if you come out and get a chance to watch the kids play and support the great things going on in Dothan City Schools, and I'm here on behalf of the football team, I can promise you won't be disappointed. We've got great kids, and people did not lie when they said if we win here, people will get behind us and support us. So on behalf of Dothan City Schools, on behalf of our football program, I thank you. Go Wolves. Are there any questions? I'm fired up too. People ask me all this, You know, we called 2 timeouts when we scored. No doubt they were happy in the game. We scored to make it 13-14 with about 4 minutes to go. I told our coaches before the game, if we got a chance to win it, we're going to. We gotta run a funky field goal extra point unit. We switch it every week, and it kind of started with the Lane Kiffin stuff where you talk about stealing points. So anytime you can steal points, you can do that. So we went out there and thought we could steal some points, and that would be to make it 15-14. We called the timeout, gave us just a bad look. We couldn't call it. Kids came over and said, "Coach, let's go for 2." Sent our group back out there, and we had about the worst call for the defense that they were in. So that's where we called the second timeout. But you know, our kids played their tails off, and just an awesome environment. Yes, sir.
What was your biggest surprise as you relocated from Wisconsin to Southeast Alabama?
Well, what's funny is I lived in Florida, coaching. I've coached in Florida from Wisconsin most of my life. I've coached in Illinois, now in Alabama. And Florida is hot and humid, okay? So I knew Alabama was going to be hot. This is hot and more humid than any place I ever lived in Florida. I can tell you that. It is like hot and hotter out of the 2 seasons, but you know, we're getting used to it. I think that's like, I thought, okay, I lived down in Orlando for a while. It can't be any hotter than that. Oh, it is, and Andy had the community with it, so I think that's a surprise. Yes, sir.
Are you seeing NIL come into your players and being effective in?
There is, and don't quote me on the number, I think 4 or 5 states in the country where it is legal. Tennessee is one of them. Right now, it is not legal down here, so we haven't. You know, the only thing that worries me is, you know, it's high school sports, it's high school football, and I don't ever want to lose that part of it, you know, of just the growing up and living in a town and playing for your high school, and, you know, the NIL stuff is just, we see what it's done to college football. I mean, Deion Sanders essentially flipped the roster. It has a top 15 team just by bringing in new guys. And, you know, I just maybe I'm a little bit old school. I want kids to start in our program when they're in middle school and learn our way up. And when they come to high school, they play for us and go through there. But I'd be lying if I didn't think at some point it's going to come, because it seems to be coming everywhere else.
How's your upcoming schedule look?
Well, here's one thing that a lot of people, you know, 7A is really unique. We play Prattville Friday night, and everybody knows about Prattville, perennial blue blood program in the state, physical. In the mid-90s, they were the Hoover of the state. A lot of tradition there. Going to be a huge region. The team that wins is going to put themselves in a good position for playoffs. The team that loses will put themselves behind a little bit. After that, we have a home game against Smith Station for homecoming. So 4 out of our first 5 games were at home. And this is one thing that people have a hard time grasping, and I did when I came here too. I was in the suburbs of Milwaukee. We will go in 3 back-to-back weeks. 3-hour road trip to Mobile, 2-hour road trip to Central Phoenix City, 2 hours and 15 minutes to Opelika, 3 straight weeks. So it's the travel is just crazy. But when there's really only 2 7A schools down here, there's not even a 6A school. It's just something that you got to do. So, you know, from here on out, we only have 1 more non-region game. Everyone counts. The top 4 teams make the playoffs, and obviously our goal is to be one of those 4. Yes, sir.
Coach, on defense, I don't want you to give your secrets up, but y'all get into kind of an oval huddle. Do you do that just to mess with them, or are you calling a certain play depending on how they?
That only happens in the middle of the field. You know, there's kind of 2 types of defenses. There's teams that lined up by the strength, and there's teams that lined up field boundary. Well, we consider field boundary anything inside of or outside of the goalpost uprights. So anytime you see us do that, that means the ball's gonna be in the middle of the field, and we can't get set as far as strong side or weak side until they come out and break their formation. So that's why you see us do that. Anytime the ball's on the hash, you'll see that our guys get lined up right away off the bat. We have a field side and a boundary side, but when it's in the middle of the field, we can't do that until they come out and get lined up. So that's why. That's a great question.
Thank you.
I did not.
Yes, sir.
With all the changes now, who are those that are in your region?
Okay, the top 2 teams in our region historically, these teams have played in the semifinals the last 6 or 7 years. Central Phoenix City and Auburn. Opelika was an addition last year. The top 32 teams in the state, based off enrollment, make up 7A, and every 2 years that gets redone. And every 2 years, they tell you what your region's gonna be for the next 2 years. So we're on the back end of that right now. So about Christmas time, they'll come out with a new region. Somebody might fall down, somebody might fall up. Down here is Dothan and Enterprise. We've got the old Montgomery Lee, which is now Percy Trulian, Jeff Davis High School, which is Jag High School, Prattville, and Opelika. So we're actually, not only is our region loaded with talent and really good teams, there's also 9 teams in it, which is very rare. So we've got one less non-region game than everybody else, but we play 8 games where most places only play 7 games. So 9 teams in our region. Yes, sir.
Yeah, just comment, y'all gonna be game of the week this week, WPY, so if you can't get out to the game, you will be on TV.
I actually just got that text on the way over here. So we're, and I think that anytime that our kids, that we have a chance to showcase our kids and those types of things is huge. And, I'm not one of those guys who tries to create false hype. This is a monster game for our program. You know, like I told you, it's a whole different feel for our kids when, to be honest with you, last year, I don't think anybody talked to us in regards to anybody. Nobody put us in the playoff conversation, and they just looked at us as another game on their schedule. Where now people look at you and say, hey, we're gonna have a tough team and a tough battle against Dothan. So we gotta make sure we're on our best each week. And like I said, we beat Prattville last year 14-10. So I know they'll be fired up, and we'll certainly just fire it up back, and it'll be a great atmosphere, and hopefully see everyone there. Yes, sir.
How important, last year Dothan High student section was named the best student section in the state. How important is that not only a rich use for your games, but on campus and during the environment throughout the school year?
Well, I can tell you, I've been at 5 different schools as a head coach, and our student section here is awesome. And what's really cool, which is unique here, is if we play at home and HA and Providence do not play at home, those students will come in our student section and help cheer on our kids, which is phenomenal. It gives me chills thinking about that, you know. But it's, to me, you know, last year our student section leader was Thomas Dowd. When you have a Division I basketball player who chooses to be the leader of the student section, I think it tells you about the culture and climate you have inside of your school. And Thomas, it was funny, I didn't know this. My daughter told me that Thomas came back on Friday to check out the student section to make sure that they were holding up the standard that was created that year before. So I think that is absolutely awesome. Yes.
I want to go back to the nutrition program that you were talking about with the guys. You said you feed them afterwards. If you're willing to tell, do you take sponsorship? How do you do that?
We have a lot of different ways. On Mondays, we're fed through the school nutrition program. Because we have an educational element with football, that's where we provide the meals on Monday. On Tuesdays and Wednesdays, we get it from local restaurants. Like we have, for example, Tuesdays is called 2 Slice Tuesday. Our kids eat 2 slices of pizza on the way out. And we'll have different people that come in. Edgar Walker fed us last year, one day after practice. And I'm one of those people that anybody that's willing to help our kids, do things for our kids, we'll find a way to make it work. On Thursdays, we go to a different church every single Thursday after school. And part of that is the faith-based part of that. The second thing is we know that the kids are getting a great meal come the day before the game. So, you know, my thing, I think the worst thing we could do is go to one church every single week. So our kids will go to last year with the playoffs, we went to 12 different churches on Thursday, got a meal. We had different kids that connected at the different churches. And then on Fridays, we get meals catered in from the restaurants for. So again, certainly we're always looking for people that love to help our kids, and we have ways that we can help back. We call it the Fed and Fuel program. So when you're at our games and you see a sign that comes up that says Fed and Fuel, those are people that have helped either individually or a church or a business that have helped us feed our kids. I do have to say, when I first took this job, I saw Dean about every week, and he helped me and connected me with businesses. When I told people my goal was to feed the players every day, I think I had a lot of really big eyes, and I think people thought looked at me like I had about 6 heads. But it was truly the whole town got behind that. And again, like I said, I know everybody doesn't get the opportunity to do that. And I'm just so thankful and humble that I know our kids are going to leave practice and games and not have an empty stomach with how hard we work on it. Yes, sir.
Who do you consider to be the toughest opponent you're gonna have? Or is it too soon to know?
Well, I'd say Central Phoenix City, they, loaded with talent. I think at one point I saw an article, they had 12 Power 5 football players. They got a D lineman committed to Alabama. 3 out of their 4 players in the secondary are Power 5 players. They've got the number 3 receiver in the country. They've got a junior who's a top 5 receiver in the country, so will certainly give us, our fits, but, you know, last year we tied the game up late. They scored at the end of the game to beat us, so we don't make excuses. We'll play anybody anywhere. We'll work hard. We'll play physical and pull our chips on the table and see what happens.
When do they fall in your season schedule?
They are game 6. So after we come back from Mobile, we'll head up there.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Well, I thank everybody. Go on.
Thank you, Coach Kennedy. I played a little sports in high school, and your energy is definitely contagious. If you would have told me to run through a wall, I probably would have too. So, thank you. Also, too, I commend you on having such a passion for kids showing up. I think, you know, there's a lot of business owners out here. Once these kids move on to the next phase of their life, it's important for them to show up. So stressing that to them at this age is vital. So good stuff. Next week's program, we will host Twinkle Kavanaugh. She is the president of the Alabama Public Service Commission. So hope to see everybody here. I want to say thank you to the guests that are here today. Good seeing y'all. Hope to see you again soon. Also, thanks to those who helped put on today's program. With that, if you will, please rise for the 4-way test. Of the things we think, say, and do.
Fair to all concerned. Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Shine the light road.